Hey, I'm Creed with HomeBuyer University. What is HomeBuyer University all about? For the last several months, maybe the last several years, you've been busy cutting costs, cutting back on expenses, saving money, thinking about finances, trying to get qualified for a loan, spending a whole lot of time, much more than you should have maybe, online, virtually searching for homes on Zillow, Realtor.com, whatever it might be. And you're finally in a position to start getting serious about all this stuff. You're going to leave the virtual world of home search on the internet and get ready to go to the real world and start looking for a home and hopefully purchasing a home. And I want you to know that once you leave the virtual world of search and move into the real world of getting ready to purchase a home, real estate gets real serious real fast. And that's what HomeBuyer University is all about. We're going to teach you a lot about real estate terms and contracts. And it's not going to be your favorite part, but it's so important. Why? Every decision you make, every commitment you make, and there's going to be hundreds of them, as you search for, negotiate on, and finally get through all the process to closing on a home, you're going to have hundreds of decisions. Every one of those decisions is going to be put into a contract and signed by you. And that's going to affect your home purchase, your home closing, the entire time you own that home, up to 30 years or whatever it might be. And it's even going to affect it when you're ready to sell that home. Decisions you make now are going to affect that home when you get ready to sell it. And that's what we're all about. And we're going to talk about several things beyond contracts. We're going to talk about technology. We're going to talk about treating your home as an investment. I know, it's not stocks or bonds, but your home's going to have as much contribution toward your retirement as all of your retirement accounts combined. And those are government statistics. And there's so many things we're going to talk about. And I just want you to be ready, because when you finally find that house, you're going to bust butt, you're going to spend weeks or months looking for a home. You're finally going to spot it. And it's probably going to be at 7:30 at night after work. And you're going to tell your broker to scramble and put together an offer. And that offer is going to be 19 to 20 pages long with all those decisions you have to make in it. There's going to be several addendums and disclosures and multiple other contracts attached to this over the next couple of weeks. Inspections and surveys and you name it. And every one of these has a decision or 2 or 10 or 50 associated with it. You're going to be all stressed out. It's going to be 10:30 or 11 o'clock that night when your broker finally gets that contract sent over to you electronically. You're exhausted. You're going to have to get to work the next day, but you have to look at all these items. And I promise you, there are going to be hundreds of items on that contract. And you're going to have to make a decision on every one of those and sign it and send it off to get to that seller that night so you can get a chance at buying that home. HomeBuyer University is all about helping you understand those contracts, those processes, those terms, knowing what the economy is doing now, knowing what the economy is likely to do, knowing what home values are doing now, and what they're likely to do. I want you to know this stuff ahead of time, because you're going to be under enough stress when you're trying to get that home under contract, just thinking about the deal and all those hundreds of decisions you have to make at that point. And I just want you to have the knowledge of everything that you're going to have to deal with before then. You don't need to double up the amount of frustration and a little bit of fear and dealing with all this stuff while you're making those decisions. So that's what we're all about. HomeBuyer University is just about preparing you and making you really smart, knowledgeable, about the home purchase process and all those steps and the repercussions of all those decisions you're about to put into a contract. That said, come sit down with me for just a minute and let's go through some of the things that we're going to go into in depth on your behalf. But as we mentioned, as you consider leaving that virtual world, real estate gets real serious real fast. And what we're doing here at HomeBuyer University is just preparing you for that difference between thinking about and looking at stuff online and when you're ready to actually start looking. And it sounds great and it sounds fun, and it is. And you're going to enjoy that search part a lot. You're going to get to drive around, look at houses, have a good time. But real estate is very technical and very legal. And our goal here at HomeBuyer University is to prepare you for those legalities, for those contracts, for those commitments you're making well before you find the home that you fall in love with. And let's just take a look here. Our courses, and you probably know this a little bit, but we're going to take a look. And I'm going to give you just a gentle overview. I want you to have some idea. You're going to talk about economic trends and various parts of the economy that affect real estate and affect you. And they affect your stress levels. And what I mean is, if you go toward a recession, we're now at the very beginning of 2023, the U.S. may or may not go into a recession. But we spend a ton of time, you and I, talking about what home values right here in Metro Denver do when a recession does hit. And you and I look at 6 different recessions over the decades, and you'll see exactly how long you would have to hold a property if you bought a home before a recession, and how long you would have to hold it before you would recover the value that you just paid for the home. And it's interesting, and if you watch some of those videos, you're going to learn so much. Some recessions affect home values greatly, some barely touch them, and it's important that you understand what the circumstances of that recession, the economy at that time was, and just prepare yourself mentally and hopefully financially to deal with that if you buy a home and a recession does hit. Because while the recession is going full force, you have no idea when it started, when it's going to end, what's going to happen. But if you study some of these courses at HomeBuyer University on the economy, you're going to be a lot more comfortable regardless of what the economy is doing. So that's just one of the steps we take. We're also going to take a look at a group of courses on making your home and your series of homes over a lifetime kind of a long-term wealth management system. And you're not doing it as an investment. I know that. You're doing it for yourself, your family, so on. But if you plan ahead and think ahead, and I've got studies here from the government that proves this year after year, the equity in your home by the time you've built up over maybe 1, 2, 3 different homes, the equity in your home at the time you're getting ready to retire pretty much gives you the same amount, if not more, cash going into retirement as all of your retirement accounts combined, whether it be a 401k or whatnot. So understanding that and knowing that and preparing for that is going to put you so far ahead on this thing. And that's what we talk about there. Let's go to the next one over here. Contracts, negotiations, and bad decisions. We're going to go really deep on contracts, and don't skip over this. Please do watch the videos on the contracts. Why? Every decision you make and every commitment you make is put in writing, and it will end up being perhaps 100 different pages of varying contracts, addendums, and disclosures that you're signing off on. And in the end, regardless of who you're working with or what they say or how happy or unhappy you are about the way the deal worked out. You are the only one. You're solely committing to all those decisions, hundreds of them, literally hundreds of them, and all those documents that you've signed off on. You are solely responsible for those decisions then and the entire time you own that home and the entire time you're getting ready to resell that home. Things you do now are going to affect the current time, whole time you own it, and when you get ready to sell it. And we go deep on contracts. This is not some superficial overview of contracts. You're going to know pretty much all the details as any broker, maybe better, to be perfectly honest with you, because I explain them from your perspective, not from the broker's perspective. Please watch some of those, okay? And then the final thing that honestly is going to put you ahead of any broker you work with is where I talk about the intelligent home buying, which means I'm bringing in the technology that we've produced, that we've created over the last 15 years. And it's important stuff because most of what happens in your home buying decisions, those decisions that you're committing to on those contracts and signing your life away for and being solely responsible for, are based on people's opinions. Very honestly, watch what happens as you're going through this process. And you'll ask, well, what do you think about this? Or what about that? And it'll be a response without a full analysis. And so you're relying on one person's opinion, and that should be a little bit terrifying. What we do with our proprietary technologies, and right now I've got 3 patents on them. The stuff that we're doing now, the stuff we're developing now is so much better than those patents. It's very cool. And we can do things like isolate out for you. And this goes on during your decision process, but also the entire time you own it, and even in the future when you're getting ready to sell it. Let me touch on that really quickly. While you're looking through literally millions of calculations, comparisons, and analyses, we end up breaking out for you not only information on the neighborhood that you think you're most interested in, but through some statistical and mathematical magic, we refer to it as artificial intelligence, we can tell you every other neighborhood that you should also be looking at, not by opinion, and you don't want to know, but it has things to do with k-means clustering and a whole bunch of different analyses based on price points, house sizes, lot sizes, and all the amenities that the homes have. It's very cool because we'll show you on a map exactly where you've been looking and at least a half dozen, if not a dozen other areas you should at least drive through and consider. And it's just one of the things. When you own the home, very cool stuff. We can tell you based on buyer actions, not opinions, based on buyer actions, which qualities of homes in your neighborhood the home buyers are now paying the most for. And why would you care? Because if you're thinking about upgrading or remodeling or improving your home in any way, we're going to be able to tell you the dollar amount that improvement creates. And so if you're thinking about remodeling, updating a kitchen, and that's going to cost you $50,000, and we can tell you that as of today, a remodeled kitchen, based on the hundreds of buyers purchasing in your area, it makes about a $25,000 difference increase in value. Now, if you're planning on living there for 10 years, you think, well, okay, by then I should be fully recovered and I'll have enjoyed the kitchen the whole time. But if you think you might get relocated in the next year or 2 or 3, you might want to pause and truly consider the financial return on investment, if you will, of that investment. Okay, and that's the type of things we can do for you as you own the property. And then in the future, when you're thinking about selling, we do that similar and we test to see what buyers are currently paying the most for, and it allows you to rank order the qualities your home has over your competing homes, your competitors. And so there's some wonderful things you can do with technology. And I don't want to drag you through all the details. I will eventually, in that section, Intelligent Home Buying, drag you through some of those details, but this is just an overview. But it's really cool stuff, and it's really useful stuff, and it's all based on what buyers are really doing in your neighborhood, in similar locations, at the same price point, and it's almost magic. I guess I can't say that, but it's pretty cool. You're going to like it. And so that's an overview. That's what HomeBuyer University is all about. So as you're thinking about this, just please do keep in mind, please, if you remember nothing else, please remember this. Once you leave the virtual world of Zillow Home Search, real estate does get really serious really fast. If you have this knowledge before you get out there and start looking, or even develop it as you're looking, your stress levels are going to be so much lower. You'll be able to focus on the deal you're working instead of trying to understand 50 pages of contract in legalese that you can't even understand and your broker is struggling to explain to you. Okay? Take care.